Well, all right, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Citizens of YouTube, Pastor Dow here. Listen, I want to have a conversation here this morning, and I want to have this kind of conversation right here with, I'm going to say younger women or just women in general, okay? Especially if you are married to a man and you're, maybe 10 years younger, 20 years younger, 30 years younger, or whatever it may be, okay? I want y'all to listen to me. There is a bunch of advice that younger women today should not ever take from old, foolish, bitter women. You would think that in the way that society is going today and the way that this world is today, that after women have had so many negative experiences in life, and most of them self-induced and self-inflicted, because if you look at the divorce rate in the United States of America, 70% of the time it's actually provoked and started by the woman. Men, for the most part, don't usually just go out and file for divorce. It's mostly women do that. It's mostly women that destroy homes. It's mostly women that use children as pawn in the chess game of life and cause them to be bitter at their father. And then when they get old enough, the children seeks out the father. I can't tell you how many times I've seen this done in life. And then they seek out the father, and then they have a conversation with the father, come to find out that the mother was bitter and just told a bunch of fairy tales and lies against their father, out of which these young women, and as well as young men as children, they can't even get their time back because those days of their life are gone. It was sown in lies. The fruit of it was lies. And so you end up mad at your father and didn't even get the rest of the story, like Paul Harvey says. You only heard one side of the conversation, only to end up on the latter end of your life bitter again, even more so. So you're bitter in your youth, and now you're going to spend the rest of your days bitter. Probably going to end up with arthritis or cancer or something like that because people don't understand the psychological warfare that takes place when you have negative people influencing you in your life. Like I said, you would think that after people get to a certain age, that especially women, and especially they know how life goes, that they would have something of value to offer to the younger generation that's going to be bearing children, rearing children, raising children, nurturing children, and guiding children. They would present a better environment for them than they did for themselves. But some of the craziest things that people call advice. Let me tell you young women something out there, and just take this advice from Pastor Dow. Anything you hear from any woman out there, you better take it with a grain of salt. Take it with a grain of salt and always communicate with your husband. Always communicate with your husband, because there's nobody on this earth that is going to love you more than your husband. I don't understand, but your mama and your natural daddy and all them, they don't love you more than your husband do. You need to realize that, especially if he has chosen you and picked you and said, he's going to have seed with you. You may not understand it, but hey, don't let life experiences and the negativity of it keep you from your husband. Now, with that said, what kind of conversation is this? If you are an older woman and you're having a conversation with a younger woman, and then, and it could be a considerable age gap. What the hell is really going on when in this brand new conversation, this brand new relationship, the first thing you do is try to introduce into the mind, well, one day he gonna die, so you may want to prepare your heart for that, and you may want to get ready for another man or something. What is that? What is it? Could that be some secret bitterness inside of the heart? I mean, because your life could have been pissing shit in your own emotions. Who knows? I don't know. But I'm trying to figure out, if you are, it's supposed to be an age women, supposed to be able to teach the young women how to love their husbands, love their children, and guide the house. Why are you talking on subjects of death, which could be 30 or 40 years down the road, and introducing those kind of damn thoughts to a young, impressionable woman's mind, to get her mind wandering? I mean, because to me, it's in certain spirits. You mean to tell me that's wise conversation? And that's the best damn conversation you can have with it? I keep telling y'all young women, Listen, y'all better listen to Pastor Dow. I'm trying my damnedest to help y'all and to preserve y'all from a lot of piss and shit here in this world. I can't understand for the life of me why an older woman would even bring up something like that. Listen, my grandmother passed away at 96 years old. My grandfather was killed by one of his relatives in the 30s, I think, or the 40s. And it was over envy and jealousy because my grandfather, he built his own, he had his own land, built his own home with his own hands, had his own plumbing business. And that's saying something for a black man back then. He was very successful. And of course, you know, you got those that are envious of it. That's why I always say that, hey, probably the best move with some of y'all is to get away from your natural family because you want to end up like them, be like them, still thinking like them, in the same old rut as them, talking like them. You're never going to improve hanging around the same environment. Your environment is going to continue to keep dragging you down. You have to go to another environment that persistent excellence. But anyway, and my grandmother, when I never even knew my granddaddy, and my grandmother, I think she was a widow somewhere along in her early 40s or something like that. And she never, ever remarried again. Never. I remember one day having a conversation with her. I asked her, I said, and I was a little boy then. You know, I really didn't understand. You know, I heard about Granddaddy dying. I said, how did Granddaddy die? And then I asked her then, as a little boy, I said, you miss him? She says, I miss him every single day. Of course, my interpretation now that I'm older, she missed him so much that it would have been totally unfair for her to actually to be remarried, even though she could now, to be remarried to another man because her heart was so constituted to him that she couldn't even fathom putting another man through that with the great love that she had for my grandfather. I understood that as a young man. But man, I don't understand some of these foolish ass conversations that you so-called, you older women, y'all are dangerous. Listen to me, young women. A lot of these old women, just because they're old and they're aged and they got gray hair on them, that don't mean that they're wise. There's something sincerely wrong with women today on a grand scale. Old, foolish women. I mean, listen, women of all ages, if you have a husband that loves you, I'm going to say it again, you're not going to find nobody else in this world that will love you more than your husband. You may murmur, complain, and eventually, you know, especially the way men are built today, you're probably going to end up closing up their heart and having them to run off. Because remember, I told y'all, the divorce rate is getting ready to plummet here in the United States of America. And it's getting ready to plummet really fast. I mean, right now it's at 70, 80%. It's getting ready to plummet down to the 30s and 40s. You watch and see. And then, of course, people say, well, Pastor Dow, why is that going to be so? Why is the divorce rate going to plummet so much? Because young men are looking at how these women are being reared and raised today, how they think and their thought process. They're like, man, hell no, I'm going to preserve life. I'm going to take care of myself. And unless I can find me an old country woman with some values, old country values, and really a constitution of our heart is suited towards me, you ain't got to worry about it, because young men or men that are established, they're not marrying these women today. They won't. They will not marry them. And many of them are going outside the country because they don't want to deal with bitter, jealous, full of hatred and spite, envy, and these women in America. They just don't. And I'm telling y'all, young women, preserve yourself. Communicate with your husband. Always communicate with your husband, because he's going to be the one that's going to help protect you from a lot of stuff that you may not even comprehend and understand. Hey, look, a negative conversation, even if it seems like that it's done in jesting or a lighthearted conversation, could actually have great ramifications later on in the future. And you don't want to start off being happy and then end up trying to look at your husband out of a lens which someone else will paint. And it could cause that negativity to come inside of you and introduce thoughts into your mind to where you start looking at him crossways and cross-eyed. And then you're in the same shit situation that she is. It's sad. It is sad. Listen, I hope y'all take my advice. And I hope y'all learn from this, because I'm giving you at least one thing about Pastor Dow. All these women act like they love you. They ain't got shit for you. They don't. Your mama ain't. She ain't got nothing for you. Your aunties ain't. Chances are women in the church ain't. But I can tell you one thing, women, you can pretty much guarantee that your husband, who is designed by y'all and has a position by divine fiat to love you, to care for you, to provide for you, to protect you, and to make sure you have all the tools and everything you need to be a successful wife and a successful mother, rearing successful children in the midst of a wicked and perverse generation. Again, my advice, you better tell your husband everything so he can preserve, protect, and help guide you the right way, because a lot of these conversations that these old, foolish-ass, clamorous-ass women are having, they're not fruitful at all. They're setting you up for failure.